Thankfully, I have never had an eating disorder like anorexia or bulimia. I mean, one time I ate a full bag of crispy M&Ms and I had to puke. But other than that, I mean, it was like this big. And once you get going on those, they feel so light and airy, and then they'll get you.
It's the M&M.
Yeah, and so I think I made myself puke, but it was a horrid puke because it's like it really wanted to stay in there.
Oh,
yeah. They were like, no, you know. And so, so thankfully never of that. But my mom will sometimes feel guilty. She's very much like the sweet mother that's like, she would reward me with sweets, you know, like if I did well on a test or I didn't hurt a small animal and I behaved or something, or I did good in gymnastics. Like she would take me to get a snickerdoodle, which was my favorite cookie growing up at Dorothy Lane Market, or we'd go to TCBY together.
I remember
another dark memory there. Early, they got my ears pierced as a baby and nobody was turning them.
Oh, I remember from getting my stupid ears.
Yeah, nobody was turning them. I was the youngest, and they must have forgot to do my turns. And my dad had to rip them. I just remember we were at TCBY, and he ripped them out of my ear.
But how old are you?
It had to have been pre-3 because he was still there.
You remember this?
I guess. Or it's like one of those things where your parents tell you, like, do this one time, and then it comes into your mind. But yeah, he ripped it out of my ear. Why TCBY? Wait to get home.
Let me get that cookies and cream.
Yeah. I guess it is a sanitary feeling place.
It does feel pretty clean.
Since I've been here, like I've tripped over several words.
That's okay. It might be the sugar high.
Mommy made me mash my M&Ms.
Is that like a get ready for your?
Yeah, my mom's a music teacher, so there's vocal warm ups. Like,
and that's a mommy made.
That's me mash one. Mommy made me mash my M&Ms. Daddy made me cry myself to sleep. That's not a classic.
That's new age.
The first time I had sex was with a doll. Okay.
You too? Okay, so is your mom a big lady?
No, but I've delved into, you delve into all these things. My dad did always make her feel. So that's actually, you've been linking some things.
Yeah, we talked
as
about,
a friend.
You got it.
Which is true because my now I don't know when my mom would have shared this with me or when it came into my mind or whatever, but my dad definitely gave her a hard time about her body, they used to kind of run together. I think he always wanted her to be thinner, but she also was never fat.
My pirate ship's got a weight limit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got
and nowadays everybody's talking like there's a lot of opinions on all of this. Like there's so much, if you just like delve into the world of fat shaming or fat phobia or what. I've had a couple people come after me for some of my jokes that I've told about myself. Like, you're fat phobic.
I've heard this before.
Yeah.
Someone else just said recently, like, you make a joke about yourself and then they get on you about you.
Right.
But here's the thing we talked about before. Just, you may not be fat.
Right.
But that doesn't mean someone can't make you feel that way. It doesn't mean you can't. And again, we said you might not be dumb, but if someone's telling you you're stupid and dumb your whole life, then you grow up thinking.
Because honestly, sometimes you wouldn't know unless somebody told you. Like, I say that in my act where it's like, I have a condition where I always think I look good. Like, I was calling it reverse body dysmorphia.
That's great.
Because body dysmorphia is when you think you're fat, but you're actually stupid. And so I think, okay. But I'm sure somebody will come after me for that. And it's like, I don't, it's basically what people tell you about yourself kind of forms you, and how you're not a sponge. You have to learn, like, someone has to teach you those, like, either to have a tough skin or something. But if someone tells you something, it affects you.
Yes.
Like, I remember a lot of times not really feeling a certain way unless someone would mention it to me. Like, I don't like being disingenuous, so I always preface it that I have a joke about this, but it's like, you're drawing your family in first grade, you finish your family, and then a little girl leans over to you who's also in the class, and she's like, "Where's your dad?" And you're like, "I'm supposed to have one?" Like, what do you mean? Like, you wouldn't have known something was missing unless somebody told you. So it's like, and then as I progressed, like, people tell you the things about you and you're like, "Oh, that's what I am." And so I guess, like, as I've grown as an adult, I've had to learn to not absorb. Even when it comes to stand-up or like comments or negative comments, like, you're not, whatever, the least harmful, you're not funny. And it's like, oh, maybe I'm not funny. It's like, no, it's more like, you don't have to absorb everything people tell you. Yeah, but I think I did that for a long time.
I just had in a situation with my daughter where I was taking her to swim lessons, and she said something about walking together with her mom. She goes, and she's 4.5. She goes, if we were a real family, and I go, whoa, what did you just say?
Yeah.
'Cause someone's taught you that. And she goes, well, my one friend, their mom and dad live with them. And I go, I go, look, that's true.
Yeah.
You know,
you're like, but honey, they're not having nearly enough sex to make it healthy. I'm just kidding.
Trust me when I tell you. Traditionally, yeah, that's the, whatever, nuclear family, whatever you want to call it. I said, but look, I didn't grow up that way. Your brother, this kid, I'm listing all our friends. And I go, it's totally normal. It's totally fine. You are part of a real family. I don't want you to ever think you're not part of a real family.
Yeah.
And I said, and by the way, and I'm straight up with her at 4.5. I'm like, some of those people all living together under that same roof, they're nowhere near as happy. They don't love each other as much. So don't ever worry about that.
Yeah.
She's like, okay.
And you're like, let me teach you about separate bedrooms. You're 4.5.
Get a good couch.
But
comfy couch.
Yeah, I meant like certain events, of course, come to mind along the way where it's like other comics. I think I told you this at dinner, like another comic who's a friend of mine and likes me, but I think I lost a bunch of weight right before I was about to leave Chicago. Chicago's a 4 a.m. bar city. There's food everywhere. I ate a lot, and I lost weight before I moved. And he was like, "You look great, yeah, but you'll never be skinny," And it's like
I can't even like.
And so,
can't even get over.
And this is like
so
many of these things said to me. Like I remember hooking up with this guy, and I think we had already done the deed, and that's what I call it. Why did I get sensory there?
I don't know how you
we already fucked hard. And and then he leaned over to me and he was like, oh, I've never slept with a bigger girl before.
I can't even,
okay.
I would never even have the balls to say that to somebody.
It's
a bigger girl.
Yeah.
He said gal or girl?
Girl. I've never slept with a bigger girl. But here's the thing. When we joke and we laugh about these things, I think the issue arises for other people or whatever, because it's funny to me. I can laugh about it. I've written jokes about it.
That's what this whole show is all about.
Yes, but to other people, they say, well, the joke is because it's big is bad, or it's funny because he offended you by saying you're big. And it's like, I think the main issue or argument for a lot of these people who say these things are fat phobic is, big doesn't mean unhealthy and thin doesn't mean healthy.
That's right.
Which is true. There are very unhealthy people who are just bones,
smoking cigarettes or meth or some shit.
True.
Yeah, they fucking look good.
I later found out that the guy who called me a bigger girl also did heroin. So I was like, okay, well, we got to look for some clues in the future.
That's right.
I don't do drugs, so I'm not good at picking up on it.
Just standing up on the sidewalk, falling asleep wasn't a clue enough for you. That's like,
he was like, I've never slept with a bigger girl before. Could you pass me my hypodermic needle? And I was like, absolutely, doctor. No, but I don't think it was during my time. I think it was maybe after.
But I mean, how does that just makes you feel like shit?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I'm after sex,
and
you're vulnerable, you're laying there, and then not a compliment about the night or the sesh or any of that. It's
yeah. And I'm sure
he's going through his roster in his head, and
right. Yeah. And he's like, "You're the first."
You know what?
And I wasn't even big.
Exactly.
It's like I always when I was like, I think the highest was about 200 pounds. Truly, it's like I'm tall. I carry it well. It wasn't like that big. Not like it would have been bad if I was, but it's just like it's all relative.
Yes.
I have this other joke where I'm like, when I was 200 pounds, I lived with a girl who was 100 pounds, and she would always call herself fat. I mean, she was a German Shepherd, but it affects everybody. I just think it's like, I think it's like what people tell you totally gets into the fabric of your being, and I think it's associated with a lot of things. Like I said, the treats when I was young, I got joy out of food. I
gotta watch that because I like to do the ice cream thing.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I mean, but I don't know. And my mom and I still do that together. I left some Peeps behind at Easter, and she just texted me this morning. I ate 2 rows of the cotton candy. Surprisingly delicious.
Surprising.
But what she doesn't know is that my dad sent me those cotton candy ones for my birthday.
Would she eat them if she knew that?
Probably not. She doesn't even want him to pet her dog when he comes to town.